Good evening, I'm Taylor Thomas with a CTV News update. The county-wide curfew for teenagers under the age of 17 begins tonight and runs for 30 days. Juveniles must be at home from 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. Sundays through Thursdays and 11:59 p.m. until 5 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. Initial violators will come with a warning. The second violation starts with a $50 fine. Then it escalates to $100 and then $250 for any violations after that. Now, Police Chief Malik Aziz says his department is doing the best that they can to enforce the curfew.
We've been here before with the curfew, and the re-implementation of a curfew, the police are going to do our part and try to do it better with what we did before. The components and the support of it, we believe that we have to carry out any order, any directive that comes in the realm of what we're supposed to do already. The law provides for us some direction with it. We follow our protocol and our policies, and we believe we're going to be able to meet that out in some form or fashion.
Police departments in the cities of Bowie, Greenbelt, and Hyattsville will not be enforcing the curfew. The United Kingdom and the world is mourning following the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. Buckingham Palace announced the death of the British monarch on Thursday. Today, mourners flocked to the British Embassy in Washington, D.C. to pay their final respects to the Queen. That's where we find CTV's Katara Jones with more.
The memorial outside of the British Embassy continues to grow as more and more people stop by and pay their final respects to Queen Elizabeth II. Now I had an opportunity to speak to two women who say the Queen meant so much to them.
I think she was an amazing woman. The way she led her country for so many years, putting country before everybody, just the grace and the strength that it took to be nonpartisan, to listen to those around her and take good counsel. But in the end, she was an amazing, strong leader, and I just came to pay my respects because she's just a brilliant woman.
She has, really been the only monarch that in my lifetime we've known. Not that I'm British or anything, but at the same time, she's just had such an influence on the world. And, her steadfast devotion and service to her country and as a woman too, just kinds of, really cements just a lot of feelings that I had. So I just had to come. I actually came all the way from Frederick, Maryland, just to drive down here and, put some flowers out.
I mean, it is just amazing to think that 2 days before she was meeting with the new prime minister, until her death, she really was working to serve her country. Such selfless service, and we could all take a note of what hard work can do.
She was not just a queen, she was a mother and a wife and a daughter and a grandmother and a great-grandmother, so she meant more than just that, and you kind of saw her as a grandmotherly type, to me at least.
Now, if you missed an opportunity to sign the condolence book, don't worry. The British Embassy will reopen on Monday for visitors to come by and sign those condolence books. Katara Jones, CTV News.
This weekend marks the 21st anniversary of the deadliest terrorist attack on U.S. soil. The nation will never forget when the first plane slammed into the World Trade Center at 8:46 a.m., followed by a second plane just minutes later. They will not forget when the men and women on Flight 93 who fought back and prevented the hijacked plane from crashing into another building. In all, more than 2,977 people were killed. Now, since 2001's attack, a number of memorials have been erected across the country to honor the victims. The three major sites are the National 911 Pentagon Memorial, 911 Memorial in New York City, and the Flight 93 National Memorial in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The National 911 Pentagon Memorial closed at 4 this afternoon in preparation for Sunday's observance. It will reopen to the public at 1 p.m. on Sunday. Meantime, we caught up with Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen and asked him how he felt Americans should observe the 9/11 anniversary.
I think it's a day of service. It's a day where we recognize we need to all come together as Americans and do our part to strengthen our country, just like we came together after 9/11, rallied together as a country. So I think it's a day where people should contribute to their communities and to the country.
President Joe Biden and lawmakers will have a 9/11 observance ceremony at 9 a.m. on Sunday. This event is not open to the public, only to the families of the 184 people killed at the Pentagon. All right, here are the latest COVID-19 numbers for our area. Of the 1,339 new cases, 239 are in Prince George's County. The county's positivity rate is at 10.61%. So far this month, 56 Marylanders have died of COVID, including 13 over the past 24 hours, and 538 people are hospitalized. You're watching CTV News. I'm Taylor Thomas. Back in a moment.
Together. We believed in something bigger than ourselves. The military took me to one side of the world and her to the other. And even though she was always the strong one, when we caught up years later, I found out she had fallen on some hard times. It was her call to make, but doing it together made all the difference.
For veterans who are homeless or on the brink of homelessness, call 877-424-3838.
Prince George's police need your help in locating a missing man. This is 70-year-old Andrew Lee. Police say he was last seen on the 4,000 block of Forestville Road back on September 6. Lee is 5 feet 8 inches tall and weighs about 150 pounds. He was last seen driving a silver Ford Explorer with Maryland tags. Anyone with information about his whereabouts is asked to contact police. 5 Orange Line metro stations that had been closed since May for rehabilitation work officially reopened today with a ceremony at the New Carrollton station. Confetti rained down at a press conference this morning. Metro CEO Randy Clark, federal and local elected leaders were on hand for the event. The New Carrollton, Landover, Cheverly, Deanwood, and Minnesota Avenue stations received upgrades, including slip-resistant floor tiling, track work, new public information screens, and improved escalators.
This focus on infrastructure, this focus on safety and reliability is absolutely important as we attract back our riders to the system in a post-pandemic world and continue to grow our ridership and make sure that we are making sure that not everyone is choosing a car to move around in this community, because we know we cannot crisscross the DMV region without a successful and a reliable WMATA team and a WMATA metro system working well for us.
The reopening marks the end of a 4-year project to improve 20 Metro's outdoor stations that were most in need of repair. That press conference, by the way, was delayed by about a half an hour due to a fire on an Orange Line train. The incident happened this morning on an Orange Line train at the Eastern Market Station. Investigators say a passenger seat was set on fire. Metro CEO Randy Clark was on the Orange Line train this morning headed to the press conference, but was delayed due to the response.
I wasn't on the actual incident train. I was following the incident train. It seems like we have a person who intentionally set fire to a seat on an Orange Line train. That is a very serious issue. The police are currently looking for a suspect, and we hope that that person will be found, arrested, and held accountable for a very potentially dangerous action. I've been told by the chief of Transit Police that we have a witness report of someone purposely doing that. The police are looking for a suspect, and we'll be doing an investigation, and certainly you will have my commitment. We will be putting out information related to the situation.
The train operator was taken to a hospital as a precaution for smoke inhalation. No one else was injured. The fire impacted orange, blue, and silver line trains. And still to come ahead here on CTV's Tonight, a big weekend ahead for the Burgundy and Gold. We'll hear from Washington Commanders head coach Ron Rivera right after the break. Stay with us.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, Come on, man, let's split a ride home.
A Prince George's judge is reassigned following claims that he was too lenient handling criminal cases involving juveniles. According to WJLA, the move comes after several elected officials publicly criticized Judge Peter Killow, who was handling all cases involving juveniles. Those cases including the recent sentencing of a 12-year-old boy involved in the fatal stabbing of a gas station clerk to home custody. Judge Michael Pearson will take over the docket beginning Monday. Monday, September 12th, is the last day to submit a comment to the Maryland Department of Health about possible changes to involuntary psychiatric hospitalization guidelines in the state. The proposed changes would make it easier to force people into a psychiatric hospital against their will if they show signs of mental distress or if they are deemed a threat to themselves or others. It's something that organizations like Out for Justice raising public awareness about this could mean for families here in Prince George's County.
Our concern that in the involuntary psychiatric hospitalization process is frequently really initiated by people without adequate training to evaluate mental health conditions, including police, judges, and just everyday people, right? The proposed regulations create an even more room for bias and fear-based misrepresentation among these untrained individuals. And this really may lead to more forcefully taking individuals to the hospital.
Hanson Mundell says her members say this plan makes them feel scared, criminalized, and ashamed to, and less likely, by the way, to report suicidal thoughts. Out for Justice wants to see more community-based mental health services instead of forced confinement. Now, after the 12th deadline, the Joint Committee on Administrative, Executive, and Legislative Review will decide on the proposed regulation changes. An industry-backed campaign to legalize marijuana in Maryland is launched. The campaign urges voters to pick yes on 4, the November ballot question about legalizing pot possession for adults 21 and older. The Washington Post reports that a new campaign video which urges voters to support legalization relies on funding from Trulieve. The company has dispensaries in 8 states, including 3 medical locations here in Maryland. It's listed as giving $50,000 to the cause, according to election finance filings dated August the 30th. The deadline to apply for a Maryland student loan tax credit is rapidly approaching. This is different than the federal student loan relief recently announced by the Biden administration. Maryland taxpayers who had at least $20,000 worth of debt as an undergraduate or graduate student can apply online for the relief. To qualify, you must have at least a balance of $5,000 in student loans. The deadline to apply is Thursday, September the 15th. Now, for more information, go to mhec.maryland.gov. The Washington Commanders are set to kick off the 2022 season this weekend. They host the Jacksonville Jaguars at 1 p.m. on Sunday at FedEx Field. After 2 consecutive 7-9 seasons, the team hopes to get off to a good start.
I think, in all honesty, other than the pandemic year, this year going into it, this got the most questions. Because we didn't have all of our offensive linemen up ready to go. We didn't get to see all of our tight ends, and we don't have all of our backs up this week. So I'm anxious to see what we're going to look like. I'm anxious to see what that combination is going to be. And it's the same thing on defense. Going to miss a couple parts, but I'm anxious to see what we are, who we are, where we are. I really am.
You never really know until you get out there. But I feel like we have gained a lot of confidence in each other and what we're being asked to do throughout this offense. So I'm just looking forward to seeing what happens on Sunday.
All right, again, kickoff is Sunday at 1 p.m. That's a wrap of our CTV News Update. I'm Taylor Thomas. Have a safe and great weekend. Good night.